Hey, what's going on? Pete Francis for Blues Rock Review with album releases for October 2017. And once again, we have a huge month of album releases. And we'll get things kicked off with King King's Exile and Grace. And earlier this year, we had listed King King's Exile and Grace as one of our most anticipated albums of 2017. And there's a couple reasons for that. Last year, they released King King Live, which was voted Blues Rock Review's #1 live album of the year. And in 2015, King King's latest studio album, Reaching for the Light, was voted Blues Rock Review's #1 album of the year, period. And they received a lot of accolades for those albums, not just from us. So obviously this is a very anticipated album, and fans can rest easy because, once again, King King have delivered. This album has pretty much what you'd expect from King King. Great songwriting, great guitar playing, and the band is as tight as ever. And if you want to hear more about this album, we did an interview with frontman Alan Nimmo. You can click the link in the description box. Exile and Grace drops October 6th. Supersonic Blues Machine returns this month with their sophomore album, Californisoul. And this is a three-piece band featuring Fabrizio Grassi, Lance Lopez, and Kenny Aronoff. But they're also called Supersonic Blues Machine for a reason, because they bring in a lot of their friends for guest appearances. And on this album, you've got Billy Gibbons, you've got Eric Gales, you've got Walter Trout, and the list goes on and on and on. And last year, they released their debut album, West of Flushing, South of Frisco, and that was voted #3 on Blues Rock Review's Top 20 Albums of the Year. So obviously, this is a pretty anticipated album as well. And it's a really fun album, once again, because you bring in all these great players together, and you have them all on one album. And if you want to check out this album, it comes out October 20th. Jared James Nichols is back with his new album this month titled Black Magic. And if you're not familiar with Jared James Nichols, he is a very powerful guitar player, very intense, not only with his playing, but also with his vocals as well. This is supercharged blues rock. And if you want to hear a little bit more about this album, Rory Oscary did an interview with him on the Route 66 podcast, and you can hear some samples from the album on that. And if you haven't checked out the Route 66 podcast, I highly recommend it. Rory does a great job, and he did a great interview with Jared about this album. And if you want to hear that interview, you can click the link down in the description box. Black Magic comes out October 27th. Laurence Jones just released his new album called The Truth, and this album was actually released right at the end of September, but it kind of just fell from the sky. People didn't know that this album was coming out. It was just announced all of a sudden that the album was available. So we're going to talk about this album in this video. And Laurence Jones is a blues rock young gun out of the UK, and he's won several awards, and he's one of those guys kind of looked at as the future of blues and blues rock music. And he's a very talented guitar player, and for this album, The Truth, he actually came here to the United States and recorded this album in Miami. And one thing that separates Laurence Jones from a lot of other blues rock guitarists and young blues rock guitarists is Laurence Jones does not overplay. Even though he's a great guitar player, he plays for the song. And this album is definitely about the songs. It's a very catchy album. And his vocals are also very strong as well. So if you want to check out The Truth, it's out right now. Alistair Greene is releasing Dream Train this month, and if you aren't familiar with Alistair Greene, he's a very underrated guitar player. He spent the last 7 years as the guitarist for the Alan Parsons Project, but he has released some solo albums as well. Back in 2014, he released Trouble at Your Door, and in 2012, he released an album called Through the Rain, which I think is a very underrated album. And like I said, Alistair Greene's a very underrated guitar player. He's a great blues rock guitarist, and he's already released the title track for this album, Dream Train. You can watch the video on YouTube. And he also has some special guests on this album. Walter Trout makes an appearance on this album. Mike Zito makes an appearance on this album. And if you want to check out Dream Train, it comes out October 20th. Lots and lots of great albums this month. Robert Plant's got a new album this month. Jeff Beck is releasing a live album this month. There's tons of albums coming out. And this pretty much just gives you a gist of that. So if you like this video, please share it. Please click the like button below. As always, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And thanks for watching.